afternoon and welcome again to Conversations with CJ Rose. I am CJ Rose and we are broadcasting live from the MediaNet studios here in London, streamed with our sister station in Florida, USA. Greetings and blessings to the Flex family and rise up to the man TC Flex. We've got the fifth series in our health debate on the show today, and we've got our resident health and well-being practitioner Stephen Sally, along with a guest, a really beautiful and knowledgeable sister, Linda Lalunga. We're going to hear from them later on. But as customary with Conversations with CJ Rose, we start with a message. If you've been watching the show from, I think this is our 14th week, and we started to go live in the midst of lockdown, you will know that this platform is really set up to hopefully share information with our people and the world about our history, linking what I call the puzzle together to establish who we are and what has happened to us for us to end up in the position that we're in. And this is knowledge that has been hidden from the world, not just from our own people, but from the entire world. And this knowledge is what is required to set the whole world free, because it is truth. And we're speaking this truth from a position of love and humility. We're not here to discredit and spread hate to any group of people. This is historical truth. This is theological truth. This is our history. And we have a right to be able to investigate, research, and speak about our history so we can reclaim our heritage and go forward in peace. Peace to ourselves and peace to mankind. Because if we understood, and I'm speaking now to Israel, and when I say Israel, I'm speaking to the Black nation scattered to the four corners of the earth. And if we understood who we were and who we are and what happened to us, we will understand that when we come to the fullness of who we are here to exalt righteousness on the earth and therefore be an example of the kingdom of the Most High on earth. Because mankind must stand still right now and reflect on his actions, his or her actions to self and one another. Because what has happened to us? We have rejected the truth. We have rejected the doctrines. We have rejected the prophets that was sent to us to give us the way back to the Creator, so he could be our ruler and our sovereign king. We've fallen short of that truth and that knowledge. So we find ourselves in the predicament that we're in, running here, running there, confusion. And let me say this situation that we face in ourselves, or that the world faces, it's not about skin color. It's about good over evil. It's about bloodline. It's about heritage. It's about the kingdom of the Most High. I'm going to show a brief, before we introduce our guest, courtesy of Kingdom Preppers USA, an amazing learning organization that I recommend anyone, in particular our people, to tune into, because there are lots of lessons to be learned. Especially if you're just beginning this journey of waking up to who we are, this is an amazing platform. And I just want to show a snippet of an overview of the lost tribes of Israel and what happened to us. And as the weeks go on, we're going to do a lot more study and a lot more presentations, including our talks as well, because it's very, very important about who we are as a people. So just have a little look at this 5-minute clip. And I would...
When Israel was a nation, they agreed to a set of covenant laws at Mount Sinai as part of a special contract with Yah. It meant that they were to be his people, and he would in turn be their Elohim. Now, as with all contracts, which usually involve at least two parties, in this case Yah and Israel, both parties were bound by certain agreements which were spelled out in the contract or covenant. The ancient people of Israel were told that if they obeyed the laws of the covenant, they would have Yah's protection and be showered with many blessings. If they disobeyed, they would receive punishment and suffer many curses. Sadly, Our ancestors chose the latter, and following that fateful decision, the nation of Israel was thereafter thrust into a series of events that eventually resulted in a time of trouble and punishment whose ill effects are still felt to this very day.
$890. That's the goodbye. $890. All right.
Before long, ancient Israel experienced a civil war and eventually split into two kingdoms, with the tribe of Judah leading a two-tribe kingdom to the south and 10 tribes forming a kingdom to the north. After a period of self-rule, the independence of the northern kingdom was threatened by the Assyrians. We get that account in the book of 2 Kings.
Hoshea, son of Elah, began to rule over Israel in the 12th year of King Ahaz's reign in Judah. He reigned in Samaria 9 years. He did what was evil in Yah's sight, but not to the same extent as the kings of Israel who ruled before him. King Shalmaneser of Assyria attacked King Hoshea, so Hoshea was forced to pay heavy tribute to Assyria. But Hoshea stopped paying the annual tribute and conspired against the king of Assyria by asking King So of Egypt to help him shake free of Assyria's power. When the king of Assyria discovered his treachery, he seized Hoshea and put him in prison. Then the king of Assyria invaded the entire land, and for 3 years he besieged the city of Samaria. Finally, in the 9th year of King Hoshea's reign, Samaria fell, and the people of Israel were exiled to Assyria. They were settled in colonies in Halah, along the banks of the Habor River in Gozan, and in the cities of the Medes. This disaster came upon the people of Israel because they worshipped other deities. They sinned against Yah their Elohim, who had brought them safely out of Egypt and had rescued them from the power of Pharaoh, the king of Egypt. They had followed the practices of the pagan nations Yah had driven from the land ahead of them, as well as the practices the kings of Israel had introduced.
This gives us a good picture of why the northern kingdom was punished by being exiled to Assyria. But later, Judah, which was the only kingdom left, also ended up doing that which was not right in the sight of Yah. 2 Kings chapter 24 informs us that the last independent king of Judah, Jehoiakim, reigned for 8 years, practicing evil before Yah unleashed the forces of Babylon on the kingdom of Judah, which ended in that nation being led away captive as well. 70 long years of captivity was experienced in Babylon, and the ancient Israelites witnessed the fall of that empire and the rise of the next. After the 70 years had expired, the new Persian king, Cyrus the Great, allowed the people of Judah to return to their homeland and rebuild. This event was recorded in the scriptures.
In the first year of King Cyrus of Persia, Yah fulfilled the prophecy he had given through Jeremiah. He stirred the heart of Cyrus to put his proclamation in writing and to send it throughout his kingdom. This is what King Cyrus of Persia says: Yah, the Elohim of heaven, has given me all the kingdoms of the earth. He has appointed me to build him a temple at Jerusalem, which is in Judah. Any of you who are his people may go to Jerusalem in Judah to rebuild this temple of Yah, the Elohim of Israel, who lives in Jerusalem. And may your Elohim be with you.
Thank you. If you notice in the broadcast, there was never the term God, because that's not what we called our creator. As Israelite people, we called him Yahuwah or Yah. Hence, when we say hallelujah, we didn't realize that when we were saying that expression, we were giving praises in the ancient tongue to the Most High. We didn't understand what hallelujah meant. And our destruction happened over many, many centuries, over thousands of years. And we will go through that in time to come. But without further ado, I want to bring on my guests who are fellow Israelites who were left in the land. And look, we're all wearing green. This is not by plan, it's by coincidence. And we actually looked this up, that green is the color of the heart chakra. So we come forth today with our hearts to bring truth. And one of our affliction in our transgression was that our health would be affected. And so today we want to talk about our immune system, building the immune system. We've got our sister who is going to be going forward, our resident health practitioner on this show. This is Sister Linda Nalunga. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And we've got, again, you've seen him before, the great nutritionist, Stephen Sally from the Mary and Dina Foundation. Welcome again to the show. And I'm going to start with you, Linda. Just give me a little overview of the most amazing and interesting work that you're doing around female health. You said some amazing, really spiritually driven information around the female reproductive system. And then we're going to talk about building the immune system. That is the basis of the show today, building a strong and maintaining a strong immune system, especially in the current climate that we're in. So welcome, Linda.
Thank you. So viewers, I'm very happy to be here today. My name is Linda Nalunga, like you heard from Carol. So what I do, my background is mental health, and I am a mental health practitioner. I've been practicing for over, actually 13 years now. We're in July, right? So it's 13 years of practice as a mental health nurse. And in between that, I've done it all the way to management, senior management in the NHS. And then I left and decided to do my own thing because I have such a passion for feminine health. And I have had my journey, my personal journey as well, in terms of my fertility. And I thought, with everything I've gone through and everything I learned, I thought, you know what, I will share, because in my struggle and in my pain, I found a lot of greatness. And I just felt if there was somebody out there that could have taught me what I know now, it would have helped me a great deal, So this is why I do what I do.
Experience being the greatest teacher.
Yes. And I think also that if you have something, if you have a gift, it's always good to share with others. And in sharing, you actually learn a lot. And in giving, you're also given. So I am a fertility whisperer. That's what we were talking about earlier on.
Yes.
And it means that I will whisper something to you. It's like if I sat next to you and I say something to you, it's special. A whisper is very special, actually, even when you look at it in the dictionary. So that's what I do, fertility whispering, helping people look at it with nature, going back to our roots and going back to the creator and being one with the creator and doing it that way. Rather than always thinking that, the medical route. I'm not disputing the medical route, don't get me wrong. However, we can also do it naturally. We can help our bodies to, rebuild themselves. There are things that we can do.
Which is in our heritage.
Yes. So that's what I do. And I use herbs. I make my own herbs and things like that. I also use, the spiritual route in terms of tuning in within yourself. And that's how I help people.
Thank you. And we're going to go a little bit more into that. This is a platform for free-flowing conversation. Yeah. Welcome again, Stephen Sally. Yes. For those who know you, you know him. For those who don't, if you just explain to us again your history with your father, Professor Sally, and the work that you've carried on with the Mary and Dina Foundation.
Yeah. Thank you once again for inviting me again, Carol. It's really a pleasure to be on the station here with you. And I think the essence of what we do is focusing on health and well-being. Today, I'm a holistic intuitive health practitioner. Also providing a range of supplements called Mary and Dina, which boosts the immune system, give you energy and repair body cells and tissues. They were developed by my father, Professor Sally, who was a researcher in both Western and traditional herbal medicine. And he, over the period of about 5 years, was able to treat about 18,000 patients with an 80% success rate. So in the period of that 30 years, we've been focusing on nutritional healing and also creating greater awareness of helping patients and people in general to really improve their health and well-being. And we have had a great success in many countries, from Malawi to Ghana, Nigeria, and here in the UK, and also in Holland, and also in Qatar in the Middle East, where people continue to give us testimonies of what they've actually been able to achieve with just using nutritional supplementation. So one of the things that we have also championed in terms of really healthcare and health and well-being is to really begin to focus on empowering people to the power of prevention, because we also believe right now we need to be increasing our awareness, but more so tapping into the heritage of our healing and the traditions of our healing. We come from a rich tradition of healing. We come from a rich culture where our forefathers and our foremothers laid down the foundation of using natural remedies and natural solutions. So we are coming into that awareness right now. We're being rebirthed into this process. And through, like you said, through our heart chakras, we're able to tune into that inner doctor. Because inside of us is an inner doctor that is always giving us feedback. And so signs and symptoms are always allowing us to really bring about a sense of awareness of how we can begin to take charge of our health.
Thank you. And this is that time, because we have been brought back to memory. This is that waking up period of who we are and our traditions. This is that recall we're going back to total recall time. And in that, it's a spiritual awakening of us understanding who the creator is and what happened to us, because we tend to blame a lot, don't we? It's them, it's this, it's that, and not take ownership. And it's something that comes up on this platform a lot about self-ownership. And this is what we're doing with now taking health into consideration, going through the natural remedies route, not discarding medical research, etc., but going back to what is traditionally right for us. And we know that in the land, we have all the medicine that we need. We just need to get the knowledge back of what these medicines are, these roots are, these herbs are, so we can use them. Linda, earlier you said something about the womb being, I'll let you say it.
So
That was so powerful.
thank you. To be honest, I mean, I'm very grateful for our brothers, and the men. Obviously, we cannot stand without them. But I can sit here and tell you, I'm privileged to actually have the womb. It's the only organ in the body that actually can reproduce, and that is powerful. So women, we have to understand where we hold our power. So our power, our energetic cords are actually held within your womb, and it sounds weird when you say it, but I get excited when I talk about it. Every woman, whether you've had one, if you've had one and it's been removed, it has been there. And so that you don't lose that along the way. You don't lose it. So our power is within here, and that is your base chakra. So your power, your energetic cords, your creativity comes from within the womb, And so if your womb is not energetically clean, it has a direct link with your mental health and your creativity. If you notice, during the time of your menstruation, it's the time when you're most creative. And we must tap into that. Every month we're so privileged to have 4 days where you can really tune in. I always look forward to that time. And we need to step away from thinking, oh my God, it's my period, I'm going to have cramps and all of this. Because I tell you what, once you expect that, you're creating that. And guess what? You will have that. And so it's really, really important to embrace it. Look forward to it.
So I really, this is all new to me in terms of embracing that period, that time of the month, because it's not very comfortable. And in our tradition, and I know the Rastafarians probably still practice this, the woman is removed from the commune, and she's in a place of isolation because she's going through this period. So you're saying that is a time for women to get more in tune with the earth, with their center.
Yes. And again, I mean, it goes way back, back in the days. I mean, this is centuries, back in the centuries, actually, again, like what you're talking about, women used to go away, and they used to commune together. Right. And actually you found that if one woman was having their period, the next one, and then they would all commune together, and they will all come up with ideas, and, they were we are creators, women. I mean, men are creators as well, but we have got so much power and authority within that, so over the years, I mean, the men took over, and it was a case of, it's dirty to have your period. If you have your period, you shouldn't be cooking, you shouldn't be touching the food. Actually, that is our time of power. It's so powerful. So
in our scriptures, because we identify that the so-called the Bible, the collection of books, is a snippet, an overview of our history. And in the books of Deuteronomy, it doesn't advocate the woman being in the society when she's going through that process, adding the food, handing the children. They are, as you say, commune on their own. And obviously we've lost that practice way, especially those of us who have been living in the West as enslaved people for over 400 years. That practice has been lost. There is, you talked about 4 days. And is it, if you have your periods for more than 4 days, because some women go into 7 days, weeks, is that an imbalance in the system?
I tell you what, if you're having prolonged periods, because I mean, as much as your body is cleansing itself and you're renewing, and it's all tied in with the moon and all these things going on. So if you're having a period for over 7 days, 12 days, 15 days, it's not normal to bleed for that long, because also remember that you're losing blood. And so you need
life force.
Yeah, exactly. So if you're bleeding heavily, that's not normal. If you're having heavy clots, that's not normal. So that's the time when you need to think about, okay, what are my iron levels like? What are my energy levels like? Because I think we really need to be in tune with our bodies and check in with ourselves and find out. And for me, I have a story of my own. When I was 15, I was actually put on the pill to manage my bleeding. I was having heavy bleeding. I couldn't leave the house. For 4 days, I'll be at home. I couldn't leave my home. And so the doctors felt, okay, well, the easiest thing to do is put you on the pill, that's it. But that's actually interrupting your hormones and is creating an imbalance. So if you find that you're having heavy periods, there are things you can do. We have herbs that are brilliant that can help you. Like I've got a womb cleanser I create myself. Not that I'm promoting it here, but I'm just saying that we have herbs, we have practices, things we can do to manage that. And you can actually get back into kilter where you can have your 4 days of bleeding, normal bleeding, without the heaviness of it, without the clots of it. Because if you're clotting, it's a problem. There is a problem. It's not normal.
It's not normal. Thank you. And I don't want women, this is a very sensitive topic, and I think it's very important for us to talk about with ourselves, basically. Stephen Sally, the immune system is a complex network of cells and organs essential for human health and well-being. And having a strong immune system protects the body from infections, such as viruses and antibacteria. How can we continue to maintain, especially in this time, and one of the precepts for us to do in this time is to build a strong immune system, bring the body in alignment. How can we continue this process, especially now the sun's out, everyone thinks we're out of lockdown and everyone's running around. What should we be doing right now?
I think, thank you for asking that question. We as humanity at the moment are experiencing a health crisis.
Yes.
And this is something that we have never experienced. The world has never been in this state of pandemic where we are experiencing this level of restriction as a result of a condition that is actually coming from a virus. So we are in a state where we also understand that the Creator, Yah, has also given us the tools in our physical bodies to strengthen and optimize and secure defenses to protect us from viruses and bacteria and all kinds of funguses. But what is happening right now is that over a period of time, our immune systems have become degenerated. We have become undernourished. We are going into a state where the whole entire immune system is compromised because of deficiencies. And at the same time, we have also forgotten that the first part of the immune system is the barrier immune system, which is the skin. Skin is the largest organ. It allows us to stay protected from what we call viruses and fungus. In fact, it actually produces antiviral components that actually help to really fight a virus. At the same time, our bodies are built in such a way that every time we take in, we breathe in anything, there's also part of the immune system which is like a barrier in our lungs that helps us to really help to protect us against these viruses or pathogens. At the same time, you also have a system where you've got a barrier immune system, but you've also got an innate immune system. This is something you're born with, okay? In fact, people are now saying that the longer somebody's breastfed, the stronger the immune system.
That's right.
And that's where the mother's milk is so important, because the antibodies that children receive from their mothers are the what protect them for the rest of their life. A lot of people sometimes are moving out of breastfeeding, and it means that they actually compromise their young ones from actually creating what they call weaker immune systems. And at the same time, what you're finding is that there's another part of our immune system called the adaptive immune system, which is adapting constantly to the billions and trillions of viruses that are always around us that wasn't even given a name to. Yeah. But we have to realize that the Creator has built us in such a way that our immune systems or our bodies are constantly adapting to the environment. We are always going to be a product of our environment. Things are always changing. But what is happening is that we have been built with intelligence. So our systems read the environment on a regular basis and adapt accordingly. But what happens if we fail to have the right adaptogens in our system? Now, adaptogens are a field of nutrition which what allows our bodies to really create what I would call an adaptive process. For example, we are seeing that the very foundation of the white blood cells, the leukocytes, the macrophages, and all the white blood cells, they're all prepared in our thymus gland. Our thymus gland is what prepares them, natural killer cells, to fight off any virus or any bacteria or any fungal infection. But what is happening is that we have also moved into a state where a lot of us have compromised our natural fabric of our immune system, which means that people are actually having what we call a situation where the friendly bacteria in our gut actually holds 80% of our immune system. In fact, the microbiome is really the most important area we should always focus on, because that is where our immune system is actually responding to what we call whatever is going on in our system, in our environment. Today, what we're seeing is that people have removed part of their spleen, they've removed their thyroid, they removed their spleen, they've removed the lymphatic system, parts of their bowel have been removed. All these areas are actually compromising our immune system. We're also living in an environment where we have got high pollutants. These are also literally causing us to be in a situation where our systems are compromised because of overtoxicity, overexposure to chemicals. We're also in a situation where at the same time, we are not having a right nutritional dense nutrients, what I'll call the zinc, selenium, copper, the manganese, the magnesium, and things like that really optimize our health and well-being. We're also seeing that today we are in a situation where the very fabric of what we call condition we are seeing right today in COVID-19 is the fact that a lot of people are living in fear. So they're already stressed and fearful of what they may get. And fear and stress paralyze and lower the immune system. They stop the digestive system, because once you're in a flight or fight mode, it means the immune system is now paralyzed. It is waiting to run away from a saber-toothed tiger. But what you have is, the Creator has also allowed us to realize that when we relax, when we move into a state of ease, which is away from the state of dis-ease, we are actually moving into a state where we strengthen our immune system. And literally what we're finding today is that many people's immune system have been compromised by the fact that we are in a state where electrical pollution is going through the roof. We're surrounded by a lot of frequencies
that are not conducive to the human biological
and at the
system.
same time, we are not practicing the ancient art of detoxifying. A lot of our immune system cannot function well because of the high toxic levels. And at the same time, we're living in this country where 4 months of the year, we're having low levels of sunshine. Means that vitamin D, which is made underneath our skin, is actually not made to the levels to protect us. Breast cancer, prostate cancer, cancer of the uterus, cancer of the ovary, and many other cancers are all linked to low levels of vitamin D.
Yes, thank you. Linda, could you say that a degenerated immune system will affect the womb and therefore fertility?
It would. And again, tying in also with what Stephen was talking about in terms of levels of stress. When your body is going through a lot of stress, what happens is, for us, we've got the main hormones that work around our fertility are progesterone and estrogen. So there's got to be a balance. When you have more progesterone, there isn't a balance. Yeah. And when you have less, again, there's no balance. Or if you have more estrogen. So what happens is, progesterone is the hormone that is required. If you've gotten pregnant, progesterone is the one that will actually help that embryo to attach.
And how is progesterone produced? Because I know estrogen is the chemical that you find in the female body that allows the femaleness, and we have both.
We have both. Now, the thing about why I'm talking about progesterone is the reserve. We always have progesterone reserves, okay?
Yes.
When you're stressed out, your body is now using the progesterone reserves to create cortisol, the stress hormone, which now means you're having less progesterone. So that is not going to help you get pregnant, or, it will actually impact on that. And also it will impact on your immunity. Again, we're talking about vitamin D. Vitamin D is another thing. I was talking about stress. I was talking about anxiety. Well, actually, I haven't talked about it yet, but I wanted to talk about
anxiety,
that. I wanted to talk about anxiety and all of these things, and the vitamin D and how that is all tied in. If your immunity is not great, your female bits are not going to be great. And in many cases, you'll find that when you're stressed out, or if your immune system is actually low, that's when you're having things like bacterial vaginosis. I don't know if you know about, if you had a lot about that, but that is a real thing.
Could you just give a breakdown for the views of bacterial vaginosis?
Actually, I wanted to come back another time and
go. We can do that then, because we've got time to do this going forward. Yes,
it's a really big subject that I think we really need to talk about
it in detail.
People, So, okay, I won't talk so much about that. But then when you talk about common things like candidiasis, where, a lot of women are having this problem, yeast infections, and in many cases, a lot of the men don't understand it. And so people are avoiding to have sex. And if you're not having sex, it's also going to have an impact on your immunity. So there's so many things that actually tie in with our fertility or our femininity or reproductive system. So it's all tied in. And the body, the way it works is that it's body, mind, body, and soul. So I cannot, even though I'm a mental health nurse, I cannot separate the mind from the rest of the body because it's all tied in.
Yes.
Yeah. So.
And that's how the Creator fashioned us.
Yeah.
And we are this human body is the most complex, superb invention ever. And I can see that every other invention, the motor car, the aeroplane, is designed to mimic this human body. You know, so we need to preserve it. We talk about this a lot on the show. This is the temple that we must preserve, but we have lost a lot of information, and we're caught in it. We're in a quandary, basically. We really are.
We really are. And you know what is so important as well is that the Creator has also given us the power of emotion. And Linda talked about the fact that the center for women, for their feeling center, is in their womb. That's where all the emotions are processed.
Yes.
And even in that, connecting with what we're talking about, the heart center. So what you find that today we're seeing a rise in fibroids, women of African origin, and a rise in prostate cancer and prostate inflammation around men of African origin. And this leads back to the fact that these are all hormone-related cancers, and it means that they also have a root in the fact that it's hormone imbalance, which also now triggers a wide variety of different conditions. But at the same time, we are seeing that the emotions are so powerful in that the key to healing is really feeling. And what we're seeing is that these inherited emotions have now trickled down generation after generation. For example, self-hate is the emotion connected to fibroids and prostate imbalance for men of African origin, and generations from our ancestors, this inherited emotion is passed down. So we're seeing that people who've got what they call kidney issues, they will be also linked to the energy of fear and worry. People with low self-worth, low self-esteem, they will have a connection to what they call the spleen malfunctioning. If they're in a situation where they're having what we call stagnancy or apathy, that will affect their colon health. And at the same time, if they're in a state where they have a lot of anger built inside of them, they will literally, their liver starts to suffer. If they have criticizing themselves, they will be in a situation where they will actually start having what they call arthritis conditions. So we're seeing how the emotional body is so powerful, even in tune with the immune system. In fact, every disease now starts with the emotional body. In fact, cancer is now linked to what we call resentment and bitterness and lack of forgiveness. And what we're seeing today, that a lot of people who are having cancer of any form can all be traced back to unresolved childhood issues, traumas that happened when they were younger, things that have been unresolved and unraveled, so that they fester inside the system, eventually leading to disease and actual manifestation of what they call emotional disharmony, which leads to a physical connection, which comes through the chakra system, and then it manifests as a disease. That's why we're seeing cancer of the womb, cancer of the uterus, cancer of the prostate, cancer of the breast. All these are literally linked to what I'm talking about, the emotional center. So once we can look at the key to real healing is feeling good, because your body is speaking to you. Your body's sharing messages with you, but many times we suppress. And because the Western style of doing things was about suppression of emotion, suppression of symptoms, suppression of what we call the very fabric of wellness, it means that we sometimes are in a state of what they call rapid degeneration, or we move into disease management, or becoming the order of the day, or we have a drug dependency for the rest of our life, or we're moving to a state where we don't really identify the root cause of why these illnesses are manifesting. Today we've got an epidemic of disease, now a pandemic of a virus that is paralyzing the whole world. And at the same time, we seem to be not focusing on the most important area, which is the immune system.
Hear, O Israel, we talk about unforgiveness, self-hate, depression, hate, anger, all of these emotions we bottle up inside of us. And it's that time, we talk about repentance. Repentance means let go and change. And this is what we're called to do in order to get ourselves in alignment. So all of our transgression, even our health is affected by the fact that we still are not in alignment with our Creator. And being in alignment means you feel the love, you feel the forgiveness, you feel the peace, you feel the harmony when you adhere to the Lord. And we're going to get deeper into this, because this is very spiritual concept that we're speaking of. We haven't got time to cover everything, but our health is very, very important, because if this emotional body is not aligned or centered How else are we going to show love to our family, understand who the Creator is in us, if there is no peace, no stillness? This is very important. I know that your information, if anyone wants to contact you from wherever you are in the world, we encourage you to share this information, share these tapes. We are broadcasting live. We like to do that because it's raw, it's fresh. We're not masked, we're not scripted. So you'll hear background noises every now and again. We're in a studio. As I said, we're live. We want it that way because we are done. We've been fed information that has been scripted. We want you to get the raw truth and nothing but the raw truth. So contact our health practitioners, Linda Lanunga and Stephen Sally, because this is very, very important. And what we cannot share on air, you'll be able to talk to these individuals one-on-one. We are encouraging you to do so. You talk about mental health and the impact that that's rising to the surface of how individuals, how this so-called shutdown, lockdown has impacted individuals. Even in my own family, distant relatives, we have seen the impact of the stress caused by things that have happened in the childhood, impacting in adulthood. A dark cloud comes over the world, no help, no empathy, no sympathy. How is, from a woman's perspective, is the center not being managed well impacting mental health?
First of all, I think I need to also bring in the fact that what the causes of the lockdown have been in terms of impacting a lot of individuals. We're having a lot of people. I mean, at the moment, I'm working in psychiatric liaison, and
Wow.
yeah, so we're getting a lot of people coming in with social anxiety. A lot of people are coming in. I mean, people who were being managed in the community, being supported, because a lot of practitioners have had to maybe a shielding, or they've had to go into wards to support the wards. People are not getting the help that they need to get. And for that reason, they're not having access to health professionals quite directly. So people are ending up in A&Es, people are taking overdoses, trying to end it. Because to be honest, being asked to remain at home, and I can tell you, I've had a situation where I was thinking, oh my God, the only thing I'm doing during this time is leaving my house, going straight into work, driving back home, and I felt trapped. But I am a health professional. So I had to actually look deep within myself and think, hey, wake up. Because one day I was on the floor crying in my living room. And my husband said, listen, I'm going to take you out for a walk every day. If you want to go out for a walk, I will take you out. But then I had to kind of like step back and think, hold on. I need to help me.
Even you as a professional who understand the coping mechanisms impacted you, let alone the average individual with no support system.
Exactly. But there are things
no husband, nothing.
Exactly. I mean, there are things that you can do, because this is what is going to face us for the rest of our lives, are never going to be the way they were before. So we have to dig deep within ourselves and try to help ourselves. And it's about taking baby steps as well, So one thing that most people do, we wake up in the morning, you pick up the mobile phone. You're picking up the mobile phone, you're looking at Facebook, you're looking at WhatsApp.
The news.
Or the news. Somebody will say something that is actually going to impact on. Again, we have to be very careful about the energies that we're letting in. I mean, if you're waking up in the morning, the first thing that you're doing is going to your phone.
Something's wrong. Absolutely.
So those are the little things. Put the phone away, wake up in the morning, meditate, pray, set your day. Think about, what do I want to do today? Make it a productive day. But if you're starting off lying in the bed, on the phone, before you know it, 2 hours are gone.
Yes.
Okay. So your motivation is already gone. And remember, when we wake up in the morning, that's the time we're most creative.
100%. Okay.
That is the time you really need to use very wisely. That's the first thing. Think about, how do I wake up in the morning? Take a moment, meditate, breathe. So as you're taking in those deep breaths and you're breathing out, affirmations and things like that, those are little baby steps that are going to help you. You don't need to write your own. You can actually even go on YouTube and listen to some affirmations. Little things.
I totally agree, because from this whole period, I was more concentrated on prayer and meditation. And I had a time when I would switch on the mobile phone. So I'd wake up, the warm water with lemon, I would change into my exercise gear and I'd go for a 5-mile run in the forest. Then I'd come back, shower, meditation and prayer. Day in, day out throughout the process. And then I had to shut off the mobile phone and I had to get what we call a burner phone here, some 3G thing, because the impact that was coming through the 4G phone and the computer was too much for me to handle. And we understand, and I'm going to say it, that 5G has impacted our health, and we read between the lines. So at that time when the 5G networks were being hoisted and were being implemented, I could feel that, and most of us could feel it. And because we are heavily melanated people, and this electromagnetic frequency upset the biological system, of course we're going to be impacted in a way like never before. That's why we have these shows and we talk about these taboo things, not to harm anyone or shut down, but we are citizens and we have a right to protect our health regardless. So we talk about building the immune, and I'm glad you talked about mental health, because this is on the rise, the instability of one's mental health, not just in our community, but across the world, in every community. And, you know, the world should, and I'm going to say this to non-Black people, look deep within yourself about what racism is, to judge someone before you actually know them, or to look at someone and put them beneath you based on the shade of their skin. Because if you were to just let go and learn from the ancient people, we have a wealth of knowledge when we come into ourselves that will help you too. We have enough love to give and knowledge to give the whole world. This is not about hate. This is about truth to uplift humanity. So yes, mental health has been affected, and I think it's good that we speak into it. And I think it's also very, very important for us to understand the vitamins that are required, because our food is so stale. The vitamins that are required to help us neutralize this body and create balance.
And I'm glad you said that, because we're living in a time where, as a people, we have to really look within ourselves. We have smartphones, smart TVs, smart everything. The Creator's blessed us with a body that's also smarter than what all these devices.
Exactly.
Yeah, but
exactly.
It seems to be breaking down everywhere. Yeah. And by the age of 50, we've got either a whole bag of tablets that we're walking around with, or we've got some sort of walking stick that we've been given, or some sort of operation we're looking forward to. Some people are looking for a knee replacement. Other people are looking forward to have their thyroid removed. Other people are going for what they call a whole womb removal. Other people remove their prostate. Other people are having a mastectomy. So all this allows us to move into what they call the area of iatrogenics, which is death by doctrine, where people are being overprescribed. They're given unnecessary surgeries. They're given what they call all kinds of things that literally create long-term side effects that literally cause damage different parts of their body. What we have to also remind ourselves to is that nature has all the answers.
Absolutely.
Nature has all the answers we ever need. And that's what our forefathers and foremothers have been sharing with us for eons. When we're growing up, we're given different things to use from the bush to help us to really heal from different kinds of things. And that's how we all managed to become who we are. We didn't have what they call super things. They opened up a cabinet and everything was there laid out. It was bush. Super pills, magic bullets, that's what we're used to. Now we're seeing that the world we live in has taken us out of the natural world and put us into what they call a world of chemicals, where chemicals are the order of the day. And this is now destroying our lives continuously. Yet at the same time, what we're also seeing as well is that there's vitamins and minerals. Your body cannot survive a single day without vitamins. You need vitamin C, which is the most important vitamin for literally building your collagen. Collagen is the most abundant tissue in the body. But yet at the same time, the government only says you need 60 milligrams of vitamin C. Yet you need 3,000 milligrams of vitamin C on a daily basis. Your zinc is so important for the immune system. It's the number one nutrient for the immune system. Yet at the same time, selenium. Selenium is so important for heart function. You've got things like magnesium, which is important for relaxing the blood vessels and arteries and veins, and also preventing things like insulin resistance. All these nutrients and many more, like B12. She was talking about mood, health. The number one nutrient that actually people lack when they become mentally unwell is vitamin B12. And also they lack another mineral called something called cobalt. Okay, these minerals are so important for mental health and mental well-being. And just literally, when you find that your system is now in the state of decline, again, the immune system is regulating, rebuilding, and repairing the body as a whole. What you're finding today is that And people who are having a lack of what they call essential fatty acids, the omega-3, 6, and 9, they're going to have poor brain health, poor memory. Because again, the brain is 60% fat. It requires these essential fatty acids to repair and regenerate the brain. Some people have removed their thyroid because they've been told, oh, the thyroid is bad as it gets, or whatever a problem with the thyroid, because of deficiency of iodine. Now, what we're seeing, for example, like I mentioned in the previous show, in Ghana, there's a prevalence of people with all kinds of problems related to lack of sleep, erosion of libido, cardiovascular disorders, all kinds of things like brain fog, dry skin. All those symptoms I mentioned can be linked back to the thyroid. And the thyroid is the conductor for the whole immune system. Imagine an orchestra. The conductor for that immune system is the thyroid. Now, when the thyroid does not have what it needs, the whole system is like an orchestra playing out of tune. So the whole system becomes, in a sense, where it can't repair itself properly, it can't regenerate properly. At the same time, you're having a situation where the immune system is also compromised by the fact that the beliefs we hold about ourselves are so important. People have a belief that every now and again I'm going to get a cold. Every now and again I'm going to get sick. As we get older, we get sicker. Like
we covered that last week.
So we enter things that reprogramming.
Yeah,
our self-image of ourselves is very negative and low because we are constantly being given by up to 60,000 thoughts we think through the day are negative. So we constantly are looking at a way in which we can empower ourselves through what we call correct awareness of how our self-image, our perspective of ourselves is so important. In fact, your health begins with your thoughts. What you think about yourself, what you hold as truth for yourself is what manifests in your world.
Yes.
Many people are manifesting disease because of the way they think about the world. The world is closing down. So they say, they're creating what they call a cytokine storm in their head, or they're creating what they call stress levels that are self-created, self-generated, because of the fact that cortisol levels now become depleted. That's why some people sometimes, they're always angry because there's so little cortisol to bring them out of stress. They find that they get stressed for days on end. Or if you make them angry, they talk about it for about 4 or 5 days. This person made me angry. They're telling you, but that's all they talk about, because of the low cortisol levels. But lack of cortisol can bring in a whole host of conditions. If you're lacking something like beta carotene is the number one defense that fights off any infection. In fact, a lot of people today are depleted in beta carotene. And they're not even aware of it. People become depleted in so many what they call deficiency diseases. And that is why we're seeing a rapid rise of diabetes, high blood pressure, cancer, all kinds of conditions like this we're talking about are coming from the fact that our systems are not having the proper nourishment from the food that we eat.
And you know what I find? And my mood is very sort of zen today because I woke up this morning and I did my routine. I did this one yesterday and I switch the computer on to send some emails, and you get this sort of overall of the news flash. And then I noticed in the US that there is this armed militia coming from our community fighting with the system. And I've often asked, who sent you? Because taking our people down a road of being armed is not the way. And so it brings anger into a situation that doesn't. This is not the way we should be going right now. We are here to bring peace and to arm our people in this time with probably second-grade machine guns when with a push of a button you can wipe out the whole of your community. Really? So all of this anxiety, this fear, this anger, this rebelliousness is happening on the planet right now. And I believe it's by design because it's about good over evil, it's about control. How can we rise ourselves up in prayer, in meditation, in the right nutrition, in the right food? Women who give birth to the nation, you are very, very important in all of this, in how you steer the family, in how you center yourself. I was looking up today the mitochondrial Eve gene that we carry. You smile. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because this is what we were talking about earlier. The center of the woman is the womb. And we know that mitochondrial Eve can be traced back to mother, to grandmother, to mother, to grandmother, all the way centuries back to the Black woman.
I think right now we need to be grounded.
Yes.
That's what we need to be doing. And I was actually thinking about it when I was having a bath, getting ready to come here. And I was thinking, wow, I remember when I was a little girl, I didn't even think about it. And now I go back home and I see young children walking around without their shoes.
Yes.
And they don't really realize the impact that actually has for the body, because you're coming in from the root chakra all the way up to your sacral, all the way up, starting right from the bottom. But then that has a great impact, not only on your physical, actually your spiritual well-being, because we're talking about our immunity, the earth, connecting with the earth and touching your, because your food brings in everything, just that connection and those electrons, and you're literally firing up the body, and that in itself is actually ridding the body of free radicals. I mean, those are the kind of things we should be promoting and thinking about.
That's right.
Rather than going out there and fighting, because if you're in that fight or flight mode all the time, it will have such a negative impact, not only on your mood, not only on your mental state, it will have an impact on your overall immunity. So we need to be, again, like the women, we have
wise.
such a great role to
Yes.
play here, because we're the mothers, and we're the ones to actually guide, So if we get it right, then everybody else will kind of like follow. So it's like back home, they have a saying that a wise woman raises her home, and a foolish woman breaks their home.
Yes.
So if you're going to be the wise woman, everybody will actually follow. We are the ones that need to actually take the lead. Not that I'm taking that away.
No,
from
no,
you
I don't
guys.
think we should. I don't think Edenic people we should make apologies to our men when we talk about ourselves, because we always ruled, we coexisted together, and the higher being coexists. The what we call the Ruach, or the Holy Spirit, is a female principle. We will prove that, and we will show you that in our history going forward. It is, and we will be having Dr. Theron Williamson again at some time in August, because he's in his writings. He has done amazing work on the power of women through the scriptures, through ancient times, that was never really revealed. The first prophetess, the first prophet over Israel was prophetess Deborah. Sorry, man, I've said it. And I say that to the Hebrew men, because sometimes when we come into our knowledge of who we are, we tend to take on the Eurocentric mindset of who the woman is. And we're not, I don't even know what the term feminist is. I am not that. So I'm not promoting that. But it's very, very important to understand the mother principle in the nation building. Sorry, you were saying
I was just going to add that to what Linda was saying earlier on in terms of grounding.
Yes.
That animals are always
Grounded.
Yeah, they always are centered in themselves. In fact, the way sometimes people use cats and dogs and all kinds of fish and all kinds of pets to center themselves, but literally animals are always connected to Mother Earth, and it really allows us to see that. Why do they call it Mother Earth? Because the feminine principle is what nourishes, is what nurtures, it's what actually allows us to really grow and evolve into who we are, and also is guiding us from within. I always say, men, we're supposed to get in touch with our feminine side. And really tune into that, because sometimes we cannot just stay in a masculine state, and we have to have the inner masculine, feminine balance. And women are being encouraged to get in touch with their masculine side and to have that inner masculine, feminine balance, because it's all about balance. And I think the Creator has made this world a world of polarity, where you have the feminine and masculine. So you have what they call the balance of the energies.
Not one outweighing the other.
No, and even if we're now in a patriarchal makeup, or in the past there were matriarchs that ruled the world.
Yes.
And this is something that we're coming into, where the feminine energies are rising on the planet, and also we're seeing that today the world is being transformed just by the fact that sometimes people celebrate in Africa when there's a woman in power, because people have never seen a woman in power for a long time, apart from Liberia. So we actually realize that one thing is that the times we're living in are allowing us to see that we need to have a collective, co-creative expression around energizing our species. That's why we have that, what they call the feminine masculine balance, because there is intelligent energies that just like the yin and yang, that intertwine to make the whole what it is. And even as we know that the soul has no gender.
That's
okay,
right.
So when we understand that the soul has no gender, the soul is neither male or feminine, we come in here to experience this world as a male or as a female, but it is a channel or a vehicle that we use to experience. But ultimately, who we really are is the essence of the Most High. Every one of us is.
That's right.
But and as we focus on that energy, we realize that each one of us is a singular outflow of universal life present here and now, which is the soul. So the soul essence of who you are is really based on your vibratory energy and your vibrational essence. So your higher self is always here, present with you. So are your angels, your guardian angels, your ancestors, all the great beings who have, they're all part of your experience, but we're here with guides. So we're not here on our own, but we are experiencing a spiritual, we're spirit having a human experience, but we're also understanding that we're here to explore and expand our consciousness and to grow into what we call our destiny, which is already what we call it, we're merging through our consciousness. So we're beings of consciousness. That's why your health consciousness is so important, because how conscious you are is always manifesting in every moment of now. So we're learning how to navigate in this universe, but also learning how to really I go back to the emotional body, because we're sometimes literally learning how to become or create emotional maturity. How do we respond, or are we reacting to life? So sometimes the way we respond shows how emotionally mature we are. If somebody is making you really angry, sometimes it's not them making you angry. The angry person is actually inside of you, and they're projecting. You're projecting your anger on them.
That's
and
right.
so when you learn that, you'll find that inside your heart center, you'll be at peace with yourself. Even if somebody's causing him outside of you, you'll be able to say it's okay. It's their thing. There's their issues. Their So you will be able to really own your reality, which is what we've been telling. We've been taught to be in a state of blame, to be in a state of giving, and this weakens our immune system. It weakens who we are. It also weakens our very essence. And when we take charge and take full responsibility of our moment, we become empowered.
But also to think on a higher level,
Yeah.
which is attaining the God self, the higher self, which is, it says, greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. We have 3 minutes left, and I'm going to ask, thank you so much, Linda and Stephen. I'm just going to ask you to give a closing word on some solutions, a minute or so solutions, and how people can find you, and also for yourself, Stephen. This is very important, and we will have you back again the next month.
So I think for me, the key thing that I'm actually thinking about more so than anything else at the moment is mental health and how to keep ourselves well, because we're mothers. We need to look after ourselves. We need to look after our children. So your mental well-being is very, very important. And one of the solutions, like I said, put the phone away. Find time for yourself.
Yes.
And I think we give so much, like for instance, the fibroid thing, nurturing yourself. Who nurtures you? When you're not nurtured, your body will then start to produce fibroids. You're going to have lower back pain because you're not feeling nurtured. So nurture yourself, love yourself.
And we've talked about diet. We didn't mention this, but it goes hand in hand, that let your food be your medicine. Stephen?
One of the things that I think, as we're talking about the immune system, is really, as we awaken, and which is mentioned by yourself, Linda, is that we look at really meditating, finding that time for inner space, inner peace, inner joy. Second of all, what we can do also is really set our thoughts right from the first way. If anything is bothering you, let it go, and let God. Third thing we can do is hydrate. Hydration is so important for the immune system. Good water intake and also good absorption of water empowers your system. Fourth thing we can do is sleep. Sleep deprivation is the number one malfunction for the immune system. A lot of people are not sleeping at night. They think about tomorrow, or they just think
Or on the mobile phone.
Or the mobile phone. So sleep is so important for our health and well-being. Find ways of relaxing. Okay, massages, give yourself a massage.
Yes.
Go and give you a massage. A massage. Again, this improves your immune system. Grounding, we talked about, very important for improving the immune system. Take a multivitamin. We produce a range of vitamins called Paridina, which are optimized in a way to help optimize circulation, gland and organ performance, and also detoxing the system, and also repair, and also helping the body to heal from a wide variety of different issues. The eighth thing we can do is really look at ways of really practicing emotional well-being. And here we have got to really find ways of doing things like yoga, or doing things like stretching, or finding ways of really releasing stress or emotional stress. The ninth thing we can do is also practicing what we call a state where we can check where we are actually clearing our area of chemicals. Look at the toothpaste you're taking. Does it have fluoride? Get rid of it. Get a fluoride-free
There we go.
toothpaste.
That's
Look
another one.
at if you are having bath products that you have sodium lauryl sulfate, get rid of them. safer products.
Yes.
At the same time, the last thing we can do, as she was said, love yourself. Find time to get some Epsom salts. Soak yourself in Epsom salt bath.
I recommend
and really
those.
allow yourself to soak and
Yes.
release a lot of the tension, and put
Yes.
some lavender oil in there,
Yes.
because it's all about coming down to loving yourself. When your immune system is in harmony, you will feel it. I always say the key to healing is feeling. The more we feel good, the more we enter ourselves into a state of allowing ourselves, because the immune system wants to heal
Yes.
and allow the healing through.
And to love ourselves, but love our brothers as we love ourselves. That's one of the laws. Thank you, Linda and Stephen. I look forward to seeing you next week. There's so much to discuss. There's so much to go through to link the puzzle together. I do recommend exercising and stretching because that helps the blood flow around the system. It takes away all the aches and pains. If you can't run, you can stretch. And it's very, very important. And you mentioned that. My goodness, where do we stop? Where do we start? But I hope you've enjoyed this today's conversation. Israel, wake up, rise up, Judah. Know who you are. Don't just take it from us. Research it for yourself. Thank you to our practitioners. We'll see you next week. Thank you.